Police trap. If cops ask, "Where are you coming from?" say this. Immigrant writes. 11:47 p.m. A quiet residential street, cold air, a distant dog barking. Streetlights flicker above rows of parked cars. An engine hums softly as a car rolls toward an intersection. Inside the car, a father grips the steering wheel after a long shift. His eyes are tired. His phone vibrates with a message from home. "Did you pick up milk?" He smiles slightly. Then suddenly, red and blue lights explode in the rearview mirror. A police siren cuts through the silence. His stomach drops. The car slows. He pulls to the curb. His hands start to shake. The officer walks toward the window. Flashlight, heavy footsteps. A knock on the glass. Then the question comes. A calm voice. Simple, casual. "Where are you coming from tonight?" It sounds harmless. It sounds normal. But that one question has destroyed thousands of immigration cases. Because the wrong answer can open a door that never closes. One sentence. One mistake. And suddenly, a routine traffic stop becomes something far worse. Detention. Immigration questioning. A report written in the officer's own words. And months later, in immigration court, that report becomes evidence. Not because you committed a crime, but because you answered a question you were never required to answer. Here's the truth most immigrants never get told. Police are trained to ask questions that sound friendly, questions that feel harmless, questions people answer automatically. But those answers can be used to build a timeline, a location, a story. And once that story exists in a report, it's extremely hard to erase. Most people think cooperating will make the officer let them go faster. They believe honesty will calm the situation. They think silence looks suspicious. But that belief is exactly where the trap begins, because your rights don't disappear during a traffic stop. Your rights don't disappear because of an accent. Your rights don't disappear because an officer asks politely. And knowing those rights can protect you in ways most people never imagine. Tonight we're going to break down the traps. The exact questions officers use, why those questions are dangerous, and the calm, simple sentence that protects you when that moment arrives. Because the difference between panic and protection is preparation. And once you understand the system, everything changes. Let's start with the first trap. Trap number 1. The friendly question. The officer leans toward the window. "Where are you coming from?" It sounds like small talk. It sounds harmless. But that question isn't about conversation. It's about building a timeline. Once you answer, the officer writes it down. Later, that statement becomes part of the official record. If immigration officers ever review the case, that timeline can raise new questions. Were you working late? Where were you traveling? Who were you meeting? What started as a casual answer suddenly becomes documentation. The truth is simple. You are not required to answer investigative questions during a traffic stop. Most people answer because they feel pressure. They want to appear cooperative. They think refusing will make things worse. But the correct move is calm and respectful. You can say, "Officer, I prefer not to answer questions." That sentence is powerful. It's calm. It's respectful. And it protects your rights. Trap number 2. The follow-up question. If the first question doesn't work, officers often try another approach. "Is this your car?" Or "Where do you live?" Again, these questions seem routine, but they're often used to gather identifying information beyond what's legally required. During a standard traffic stop, you may be required to provide a driver's license, registration, and insurance if you're driving. But you are not required to engage in extended questioning about your personal life. People fall into this trap because the situation feels intimidating. The flashing lights, the uniform, the authority. Your brain wants the interaction to end quickly, so you answer. But every answer can create more questions. The correct move is calm repetition. "Officer, I prefer not to answer questions." You're not arguing. You're not resisting. You're simply exercising your rights. Trap number 3. The silence pressure. Sometimes officers respond with silence. They stare. They pause. They repeat the question. Or they say something like, If you've got nothing to hide, why not answer? This moment is psychological. It's designed to create discomfort. Humans naturally want to fill silence. We want to explain ourselves. We want to resolve tension. But that impulse can lead to unnecessary information. The truth is simple. Silence is not illegal. Declining to answer questions is a protected right. People fall for this trap because they feel judged. They worry silence looks guilty. But the correct move is steady and calm. Repeat the sentence. Officer, I prefer not to answer questions. You don't need to explain. You don't need to justify. Just remain calm. Trap number 4, the consent trap. Eventually, the officer may ask another question. Do you mind if I look in your car? Or, can I check your phone real quick? This is one of the most dangerous moments because the word consent changes everything. If you say yes, you have voluntarily allowed a search. Even if nothing illegal is found, that search can still create complications. The truth is clear. You have the right to refuse consent to searches. Most people agree because they feel intimidated. They think refusing will make the officer suspicious. But legally, refusing consent cannot be used as evidence of wrongdoing. The correct move is simple. Correct move. Officer, I do not consent to any searches. Say it calmly, say it respectfully, and say it clearly. Now let's talk about something powerful, the rights that protect you. In the United States, the Constitution protects everyone within the country, not just citizens, not just permanent residents, everyone. One of those protections is the right against unreasonable searches and questioning. Another is the right to remain silent. These rights come from the Fourth and Fifth Amendments. You don't need to memorize legal language. What matters is understanding what those rights mean in real life. They mean you are not required to answer questions that could be used against you. They mean officers must follow legal procedures. And they mean silence is not a crime. Understanding this shifts the entire interaction. You are no longer reacting in fear. You are acting with awareness. Now let's turn that knowledge into a survival plan. Step 1. Stay calm. Your tone matters. Your body language matters. Keep your hands visible. Move slowly. Respectful behavior reduces tension immediately. Step 2. Provide required documents if you are driving. Driver's license, registration, insurance. Do this calmly. Do not make sudden movements. Step 3. If questions begin, remember your sentence. Officer, I prefer not to answer questions. Say it politely. Say it once. If necessary, repeat it. Step 4. Do not lie. Lying can create legal problems. Silence protects you. False statements can harm you. If you choose not to answer, simply decline. Step 5. Do not consent to searches. If asked, say clearly, I do not consent to any searches. Even if the officer proceeds anyway, your refusal protects your rights later. Step 6. Ask a calm question. Officer, am I free to go? If the answer is yes, leave slowly and respectfully. If the answer is no, remain calm and continue exercising your rights. Step 7. Never resist physically. Even if you believe the officer is wrong, legal challenges happen later, not on the street. Step 8. Document the event afterward. Write down the time, location, badge number if visible. Details fade quickly, so record them as soon as possible. Now let's walk through another real-world scenario. Imagine arriving at an airport. Your flight just landed. You step into the customs area. An officer waves you forward. Passport check, routine questions. But then something changes. The officer asks, "Can you unlock your phone?" This moment can feel confusing. Airports are high-pressure environments. Travelers feel vulnerable. People want to cooperate so they can move on. But phone searches can expose years of personal information, messages, photos, contacts, conversations taken out of context. The law around electronic searches at borders can be complex, but one principle still matters. You can ask questions. You can stay calm. You can say, I would prefer not to unlock my phone. Sometimes officers may still proceed depending on the situation, but asserting your preference documents your lack of consent, and that matters later. Another scenario. You're walking home from work. An officer approaches. Hey, can I talk to you for a second? Many people assume they must stop, but not every interaction with police is mandatory. You can ask, am I being detained or am I free to go? If you are free to go, you can walk away calmly. If you are detained, remain calm and continue exercising your right to remain silent. The goal is not confrontation. The goal is clarity. Now, let's pause for something important. Fear spreads quickly in immigrant communities. Stories travel through families, through friends, through neighborhoods. Sometimes those stories exaggerate danger. Sometimes they spread confusion. But knowledge replaces fear. Understanding your rights gives you control. You are not powerless. You are not alone. Millions of people navigate these situations safely every year. Preparation is protection. Teach your family these sentences. Teach your friends. Teach your children when they are old enough to understand. Simple phrases, calm responses, clear boundaries, because the moment a question is asked is not the moment to start learning. That moment comes fast, unexpected, like flashing lights in a rearview mirror, and preparation turns panic into calm. Let's return to that opening scene. The officer at the window, flashlight reflecting off the glass. The question again. Where are you coming from tonight? Now imagine the driver breathing slowly, hands steady, voice calm. Officer, I prefer not to answer questions. No argument, no anger, just clarity. The officer pauses. The situation stays controlled. Documents are checked. Minutes pass. Eventually, the officer returns to the car. Drive safely. And the car pulls back onto the road. Because knowing your rights doesn't create conflict. It creates protection. Before we end, there's one more important message. Information like this saves people from mistakes, but only if people see it. Only if people share it. Think about your parents, your cousins, your coworkers. Someone in your life may face this exact moment one day. A late night stop, a sudden question, a stressful situation, and one simple sentence could protect them. Send this video to someone who needs to know their rights. Share it with family. Share it with your community. Because knowledge spreads safety, and safety spreads strength. Finally, remember this. Rights are not about disrespecting law enforcement. They are about understanding the law, calm behavior, clear communication, and confidence in your protections. That combination changes everything. Stay informed, stay calm, and always know the power of your voice and your silence.